Very good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all on frequency. This is ZA6YI operating the weekly DATV Net. Not many people on today, and I presume it's because everyone's watching the Grand Prix. Anyway, I have two people on. I thought I saw Lionel on earlier, but I don't know where he is at the moment. But we'll do some call-ins in a minute. I just want to see where I am with this link. Hang on, let me just get this off. Yeah, not many people on today, but anyway, we hope that it will be interesting, even if it's only two of us. Right, we just want to thank the Qatar Satellite Company for allowing us the opportunity to use part of their satellite. We also wish to thank the AMSAT DL team, AMSAT UK, and of course the BATC group. I just want to see who might be on. What's going on here now? Yeah. Okay, it is working on YouTube, on our old channel. Not many people on. I presume everyone's watching the Grand Prix today, but so be it. Let me just see who is on at the moment. Let's go to the list. Only two of us, ZA6YI and ZS1 Mike. So that's not so good. If you are watching and you'd like to join us, please do. The list is there. The link is on the YouTube, on the WhatsApp group link, so you can just follow that, click onto that, and make yourself known. Anyway, Leon, so far it only looks like the two of us, and I don't know what happened to Lionel, but we'll see. We'll just give long pauses between overs. Also want to see something. What's going on? Excellent connection, but why isn't this thing working? Let me just check. Yeah, it should be. That's interesting. That's interesting. It's very, very long delay time. My good gracious. Anyway, let's just see. Wonder why it's so far delayed. I'm just going to do a test anyway, Leon. 1, 2, 3. This is just for YouTube purposes. 1, 2, 3. I think I've got the timing right. There's 5 guys on at the moment. And good afternoon to all watching on YouTube. Right, Leon, would you like to take an over? ZS1 Mexico to take it from ZS6 Yankee India.
Okay, ZS6 Yankee India, ZS1 Mike returning. Yes, your sync looked okay there on the satellite. I don't know what it looks like on the network, but anyway. Right, yeah. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all the listeners. And yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, Gary, those amplifiers that Ed showed us last weekend. I've ordered some of them. I ordered 3 of them from China, so whenever they reckon the 29th of August they should be here. Well, we'll see about that, but yes, they're not expensive and they have excellent specs. It's perfect for what I want to do. And I saw that the chip is quite cheap. The chip is 107 Rand, whereas the completed amplifier is it 300 something, 300 or 400, 380 Rand or something for the complete thing. So I just ordered three complete amps, and then I'll have a look. Maybe I'll get just the chips and do my own board again. But this chip is by the same people that made the other one that I used, but this one is definitely 50 ohms in, 50 ohms out. Just a straight line going through with a little cap here and there, just to optimize it, but no networking or anything required. So yes, and it's got, I think, 32 dBs gain, whereas the other one was only 30 dBs gain. This one has got, like, I think it's 32 dBs gain and 1 watt out, so it needs very, very little drive. Right, okay. Yes, and my anti-bluff, or in English my anti-bark thing that I made for the neighbor's dogs. There's a board. It's built up and it's working. I must now just finalize the frequency where it's gonna, you know, irritate the dogs most. So yeah, these green wires, I'm using an external very high Q tunable filter to zoom in on the exact bark frequency of those dogs, so not just any noise will set it off. So I can tune it to say 2.5 kcs or whatever. That will trigger it, and it will trigger on more than 2 barks per 2 seconds. I think I've got the timing set. This chip here on the socket is a pick, so I've got a little program in there, and I can obviously alter that if required. So yeah, that's my anti-bark device. And yeah, just for now, I'm just using one of these piezo tweeters just to test the thing with. My cat doesn't like it, so I don't know what the dogs will do. But obviously after this, I can add any amount of amplification up to 2000 watts RMS. I have higher power speakers for that, tweeters, but yeah, they can't handle 2000 watts, so it's rated at 60 watts. But the thing will, once you've triggered it, it'll give you a burst of, say, 1 second or 2 seconds. All of that I can program in the pick, and you just make like a squawk, and it sweeps across the band. It's not a single frequency. I made it to sweep. So yeah, let's hope it works. I don't know. Dogs, my opinion of them is that they're pretty stupid, and they just ignore most noises. But yeah, we'll see. I think it was it last Sunday somebody put up the thing. It's from, what did he say, 24 kcs up to 56 or whatever is the dog whistles. So I shall play around and see what happens. Right, yes, I also saw Nigel there for a short two blurbs there. So maybe Nigel wants to come in, or maybe somebody else. So I give it to the next man from ZS1, Mike, standing by.
Pause. ZS1 Mexico, ZS6YI returning. Hello to Nigel. Sorry, as you were. Hi, hello to Don Kelly, and also hello to Stuart, ZS6 Whiskey Tango. ZR6 Whiskey Tango. Nice to have you guys on. Not many people on today, I'm afraid. I think everyone's watching the British Grand Prix today. I got a message from Matt saying he's actually listening to the race teams on a VHF's channel, and very good indeed there, Matt, seeing that you're also watching. A very nice presentation this week on your ultrasonic reception. That was quite interesting, or very interesting actually, with the little RTL, with the little dongle. Well worth looking at, I'll send the link to Leon, seeing that Leon's experimenting. Yeah, we've got 9 viewers on, and we wish to say hi to everybody. It's not a very big net today. Maybe a good thing. I've got a frog in the throat. Well, actually, it's a bad crocked throat. It's very cold here today. They've even predicted there might be snow in our area, which is not often happening, every 10 years maybe. So there we go. Yeah, I just want to check the power meter. Running 20 watts on the dot. Working well. That's 20 watts out of the amp. And then, of course, a bit of a loss through the coax cable to the dish. While I'm on this, I want to show you how to make very strong coil formers. Some time back, I was asked to make some coil formers. The guy needed them very strong, and he needed particular diameters. So I thought I'll take some photos as we made it. These were small ones. I don't know what the heck he was trying to do, but they had to be very strong. He couldn't use normal plastic pipes or whatever reason. So we used an epoxy that can take UHF frequencies and higher. And what we did was we made a little jig like you can see in the picture. And this black part over here, that was an O-ring cord. I think it was 10 millimeters ID or OD on the O-ring cord. There's a good reason for making that with an O-ring cord, because we did paint on a gel coat. You can see this white gel coat onto the O-ring cord. And then the next slide, we also made the outer diameter, which also had to be very accurate. That we just turned up a piece of wood very accurately and then made a little mold, as you can see, and then coated the mold with a gel coat as well. The 2 halves of the mold coated with gel coat, and you'll see there are little hooks in there so that the mold can always line up correctly. It's a lot of effort to make these things, but they are very strong. A train can go over them almost. And then we mixed up some epoxy and used the epoxy with fiberglass itself and started to coat firstly the gel coat that we had on. We waited for the gel coat to get tacky, and then we coated the gel coat on the O-ring cord. There was a very good reason for the O-ring cord, which we'll show you just now. And then we coated the gel coat in the little mold, just gave it a coupling coat, very thin layer, and then carried on with the cloth, with the fiberglass cloth. And that's a special fiberglass cloth. It's got no coating, so it's just the glass. Sometimes you get glass that has a coating, and that at about 100 degrees Celsius can cause it to pop. Found that out a long, hard way. Anyway, we gave it a necessary layers, and we could turn the O-ring cord, which was now suspended between those 2 ears. Between that side and that side, we just use a hosepipe clamp to hold it in position, and made it nice and tight so it didn't droop. And as you can see, we now properly get out all the air with a very hard bristle brush. Get out all the air and carry on and build it up. And then once we built it up to more or less the thickness we wanted, we then took cotton flock. It's actually cotton powder, and we mix it with the epoxy to make like a paste. And as you can see, we're mixing it up quite thoroughly so it all wets out properly. And then eventually we sit with a paste, that green paste you see there. And so we then put a layer of the paste into the mold. So we've got a coupling layer, then the layer of this paste, and we did both sides, of course. There you can see the second half going. And then once that was done, it's still very wet, we then put the bottom half of the mold up, offered it up towards the inner part, which is made using the O-ring cord. Then we put blocks of wood underneath it over here and another one over there. You'll see it in the next slide. Let me just get another one. And there you can see we're now holding it up, offering it right up to this. And you can see some of the paste we made earlier is starting to peel out, which is what we want. We don't want any air in it. And then we put the top half coming up. There it is. We're now offering the top half to it, also full of its paste. So we're squeezing out the paste. There you can see two halves interlock. And then that's what it looks like in its natural form. And then we start clamping it with G-clamps. And you can see these two little pieces of wood just holding everything perfectly in place. And then some G-clamps. And we squeeze it, and you can actually see over here some of the paste now squeezing out. And then we just take off the excess paste over here, just scrape it away, and we allow it to cure. And then we demold. Let me just see. And there's a final article. It's got gel coat on the inside and gel coat on the outside. It's very accurately made. The outside diameter and inside diameter is very accurate. Now, why did we use this O-ring cord? It's so that once everything cured, we just took off the clamp there, the hosepipe clamp. And as you pull it, you're stretching it, and the diameter slightly reduces, and it just pops out. Easy as pie to get it out of the mold. You can go for a solid one, but then you got to knock it, and it's quite a problem, and you need preferably a bit of a taper. So this was a trick we used many years ago on even longer pipes or longer things, you know, where you wanted an accurate ID. So that was making very accurate formers for a guy's coils. And I really don't know why he needed it. He was doing some university project, so he needed it quite accurately and asked if we could manufacture them, which we did. So that's one way of making, it's actually a vinyl ester type epoxy. And so it can take a high temperature and also high frequency without distortion. And it is extremely strong and lightweight, very lightweight. Right, Leon, I think back to you, but just give an over or a long pause in case someone else wants to come and join us. Let me see if there is anyone. Hello to Ed. Ed, will you take it and you pass it back to Leon? Papa Yankee 2 Radio November from ZA6 Yankee India.
Hi Gary. Hi Leon. Nice to see you guys. Wow, too much audio. Sorry about that. Yeah, just decrease a little bit the audio here. Too much, maybe? A little bit more? Okay. Yeah, sorry, delay today. Was helping CT1 COM with his easy DATV easy software configuration, and seems it's working fine now. So great to see you. Gary, thanks for showing that. That's very interesting how you make these. I had an idea how to make those. We call fiberglass tube, but actually fiberglass. It's just one of the components, since there is epoxy and other resin and stuff like that, because it was incredibly difficult in here in Brazil to find out those pipes, because if you use crossed yagis with vertical and horizontal polarization, you cannot fix those yagis on aluminum or any conductive type of support, because it will interfere with the antenna. So we do need to use some kind of non-conductive tubing, and it didn't exist here. I mean, if you try with PVC pipes, that's a waste of time, because this is too PVC pipe. There are good ones, but very resistant, but they are too sleepy, and yeah, it will not fix the antenna anyways. And also wood is not kind of resistant. But finally I found the solution was those guy that works with the posts in the street, the electrical guys, the maintenance guys. They use like a fiberglass pole to turn on and turn off the breakers on the top of the post, and that was my solution I found here. Those are fiberglass and very resistant. Those are looks like orange type of pipes, and that was the solution I found here. But very difficult to find those. I mean, you can find it, but only for chemical industry, petroleum industry. They use a lot of this type of tubes. But if you're gonna buy, it's gonna have to buy several kilometers of tubes, which is not my case. But that's very interesting. All right. Happy to see your background again, Leon, and your famous book of cards there sitting on the back. And yeah, your image is fantastic. It's good quality as well. No problem at all. Okay. So yeah, surprisingly very short net today. Only 3 people. And I don't know, but where are the other guys? But anyway, hope they all having good time. So back to you, Zulu Sierra 1 Mike, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Please go ahead, Leon. Back to you, my friend. As soon as I find my PTT, just hold on a second. I think it's right here. So back to you.
Okay, thanks, Ed, and very good afternoon to you as well. Or what is it? It's morning there in your place now, eh? Yeah, sorry, Gary, I missed. You just added the cotton flocks, and then it was load shedding. So I got back on the air with my UPS, just. Yeah, I think it was just as Ed started. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't have time to read your cartoon, Ed, but I'm sure it was a good one. Yes, and you probably heard that I did order some of those amplifiers that you showed us, and they are really perfect for what I want to do. So yeah, thanks very much for that information. Yes, okay, so Gary, I've missed the rest. I presume you're using the O-ring so that in the end, when everything is cured, you stretch it so it gets thinner and then it releases the whole thing. That's my guesstimate. You can just confirm. I wonder what the guy was needing such rigid coil formers for. Maybe for the traps of a beam or something. Anyway, back to you. ZS6 Yankee India and the group. ZS1 Mike Mike.
Okay, ZS1 Mexico, Mexico, ZS6YI returning. Right. Well, I can quickly go and show you again. And hello to you, Ed. Excellent signal from you as usual. Also want to say hello to two Stewarts. That's Stewart ZR6 Whiskey Tango and ZR6 Delta Charlie Papa, Stuart Pereira. How's it, Stuart? And of course to Don. And then on the other net, I found Tagir, I think that's how we pronounce it, R6 Whiskey Alpha X-Ray. Tagir, I've been watching you through the week repairing cell phones and what have you. Excellent signal from you, consistently great. And good work on the cell phones. And hello to Don, Echo India 8 Delta Juliet. So those are the guys. Not many people on today because of two things. According to Adam, he's also watching. We have Wimbledon, and he said his guy is going to be playing soon, so he'll be watching that. And of course, it's the Grand Prix. So it's a lot of sport in the UK today, and of course also affecting other guys. I know Benno also watches the Grand Prix. So there we go. Okay, what I'll do for you, because it's not a long thing to, not a long presentation. Hello to Matthias, DD1 United Sierra. Hope you're well, Matthias, and good to see you as usual. I'm just going to go back and then I'll start this little thing again. Let me just get it going for you. And I'll start from the beginning. Okay. Right. There's the O-ring cord, which we then put a gel coat onto, Leon. And you're right. The reason is that when you want to demold that, if you had a solid thing, you have to tap it out and got to make sure it's got release agent, proper release agent. It becomes a problem. So what we do is we use the O-ring cord and then you stretch it. And by stretching it, of course, it goes smaller and it just pops out. So that's an old trick that we used for that type of product. Anyway, I also made a mold, 2 halves, so that we could get the perfect outside diameter, and gel coated the 2 halves. And they also interlock, as you can see over here, over there, and so forth, so they can't go cross-jointed. And then we just mixed up some epoxy. It's a type of epoxy that can take high frequencies, RF. Just throw it in a microwave and leave it there for a few minutes at full power and it doesn't get hot. And then, of course, we put a gel coat on the inner layer, which is now around that. And we, of course, measured it very accurately and clamped it so that we had the right diameter, ID. So it was under a reasonable amount of stretch, not too much. And then, of course, put a gel coat on to give you that perfectly smooth finish. And then also gel coated the little mold, the one that will go on the outer side. And then laid the fiberglass cloth, carefully laid it, wet it, and then laid it. And you could turn the O-ring so that you could nicely get a couple of layers on to make it as thick as we wanted. And you can see we're getting all the air out using a brush, a hard brush. And then we then made up some of the epoxy with what we call a cotton flock. It's actually cotton dust that you get off mills. It's actually a byproduct, but it's like baby powder. It's actually thinner than baby powder. It's crazy stuff. So we made a paste using that in epoxy, and we mix it in thoroughly so it all wets out. And then we use that paste on the mold itself. Not too thick, just a nice layer, after we put a coupling layer, of course. And you can see we're doing the other side as well. And then started to check that everything is looking fine on the other side, on the, shall we call it, the core. And then we offered up the bottom part of the mold towards the core. And you can also see the interlock over here, the interlock thing. And then we used 2 pieces of wood which we cut up front to make sure that it's the right height and that we've got the right thickness. And then we did the top half. You can see some of the paste peeling out now. That's what we want. We don't want air entrapment. And then we offered up the top half coming up now. And oops, I went one too quick, sorry. And the top half's coming up, and you'll see we then have it all nicely lined up. And then we use a couple of G-clamps to really squeeze it. And anything that's too much, in excess, gets squeezed out. So you're now totally convinced you've got the right diameters, which we measured afterwards, and it was. You can see in the background we made different molds. We made thicker ones, bigger diameter, and smaller ones. You can just see them in the background there. Anyway, squeezed that, and then the excess we took out. There you can see we're scraping the excess paste out. And with a couple of G-clamps, you have quite a few tons of force on that little area. So hardly, you know, you don't have a flash. Your actual joint on the pipe is as thin as half a size of paper, half the thickness of paper. And so that done, there we demold by just stretching the O-ring cord in the inside, and they just pop out. And you can see the flash is very, very, very little over there. And the diameters were exactly what the guy wanted. So that was the manufacturing of these little coils. I think he was going to use those for a beam, actually. But they were doing some research project. So they wanted something that's very strong and also accurate. And so I do believe that worked very, very well, and it's been up for a while and no issues. So there we go. Right, I just want to quickly have a pop, see if anyone else has joined. No. So back to you. Oh yeah, interesting on the the barking, what shall we call it? The phase lock loop, or the closed circuit barking device. Yeah, many years ago, I had a neighbor who complained to the local post office that I was causing TVI. Unbeknown to him, the engineer from the post office, who was a real engineer, I knew very well. He was one of my students. So he came to me, he said, "Hey, the guy next door's moaning." I said, "Listen, brand new Kenwood TS 950 SDX and a TL 922. Use your spectrum analyzer. Let's first see if my signal's clean." He couldn't believe how clean it was. It was really a nice signal. Beautiful radio. I still have it. We went next door. I accompanied him, and we found 20 different installation problems. So he made a whole list, and he presented it to the guy, and the guy got a technician out, and they repaired them all, and that was the end of the TVI. However, 6 months later, I get on 10 meters a massive noise all over the band on 10 meters specifically, and also sparkles on the VHF channel of our analog TV. So I took a little scanner with a battery, a little AOR scanner. It had a LED bar graph as a S meter. And I went up the road. I thought it could be an insulator, and every now and then you see sparkles happening. And then I went back into my own yard, and I went to the back, and I saw this S meter go into the red. And as I looked up, I saw it was a mosquito, an ultraviolet mosquito catcher that this very same neighbor had installed. and it was bugs, beetles, flying into this, and then they fry, because of course it's an incinerator, and that causes a massive spark and interference. So I phoned the guy. I said, look, the shoe's on the other foot. Your device is now causing television interference and on the radio. So he says, well, there must be something wrong with your transistor. You better fix your transistor like I had to fix my setup, and I'm sure all the problems will be solved. So I got clever. So what I did was I took a little preamp, a UHF preamp, because on UHF the signal had already dissipated. And he only looked at a UHF signal. We call it MNet in South Africa. So I took a UHF Yagi, pointed it towards his Yagi, took this little amp, and then I interfered with the amp. I just modulated it on my spectrum scope on the 950, the TS950. So every time the spectrum scope went nuts, it would modulate the signal, modulate the signal on his UHF channel. And it wasn't long, and it was wiping out TV, but all over. And I'd phoned a couple of neighbors. I said, he's the culprit. His thing's causing this. Anyway, I was watching him. He would go stand near the mosquito thing. I'm watching him through the window. Now my lights are off so I can see him at night. And his wife switches on, and it's not long, and his TV is blotted out. Then she switches off, and TV goes for a long time, no problem. Switches on again, it's blotted out. Needless to say, it was permanently switched off. I didn't have to get anyone involved. It was a nice closed loop little circuit, worked like a charm. So Leon, I think your thing with the dog barking is a very similar thing, just at a totally different frequency. ZS1 Mexico, Mexico, from ZS6 Yankee, India.
Okay, Gary. Yeah, very, very interesting story there. I was having a look at the stuff outside, and his TV antennas are actually pointing right at my house, because the transmitter is about 70 k's, no, maybe less, 50 k's behind me as I'm sitting here. So he's pointing right through my house at the TV transmitting station. So I thought, I can fire up the SIGGEN or something, and block out his UHF and his VHF. But I'll have to be very selective so as not to interfere with the other neighbors. But I'm going to give him hell anyway. There was something else I wanted to comment on. But anyway, okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Very good one. Ed, over to you. Papa Yellow 2, Romeo November, for the group ZS1 Mike.
Okay, thank you, Leon. Let me see. Am I alone? I'm not decoding myself. More power, maybe. Okay, now I'm decoding. Yeah, we are cloudy here and got a little rain the morning. Yeah, very interesting history there, Gary. Yeah, I faced all kind of adventures with my neighbors as well. Not here, but the time I was living with my parents, and about this TVI complaints and nonsense. I remember one morning I was in the street near my home and waiting for the bus, and a lady just come out from her house, and I was alone at the bus stop. She came to me and said, "Are you the amateur radio that lives back at my house?" I said, "Yeah, probably that's me." "Oh, yeah, I cannot watch TV." I said, "Wow, really? Why?" "No, it's a lot of interference, etc." And yeah, I'm being interfered right now. I would like to watch TV at this time, and I'm not able to watch because it's a lot of interference. I said, "Well, that's interesting because I'm not there. I'm here." And she said, "Yeah, I know." And I said to her, "Everything is off. Everything is off. I'm here waiting for the bus." And she said, "No, yeah, I know, but the I know a technician that told me that just the presence of your antenna, it's enough to cause interference." I said, "All right." So it's difficult to argument this type of thing, and it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. That's just one of the histories, but there's plenty of them involving guns and shooting. It's funny. Yeah, funny now. But at that time, my parents get crazy with me. What the hell of the hobby you got? Can you just go someone else? I don't know. Go basketball, volleyball, fishing, do something different. Okay, but that's it. That's it. Hey, Leon, that was the cartoon for today. Could the sound that was the cartoon for today. Yeah, we are always thinking to buy another DATV PA. I don't know why, because we have plenty of them. And talking about PAs, that's my progress with the one I'm trying to set up with the cooling, the water cooling. So that's gonna be the idea. I mean, the water block is the copper water block is sitting here, so it's gonna be soldered here. The pipes are gonna go here, and I have to fix and solder and everything. I just this week I just cut the aluminum, the heat sink, and those aluminum boards, and that's it's gonna hope it's gonna work. So this way I can use a smaller heat sink. Yep, that's what I intend to do. All right, guys. Nice to meet you all. Wish you a great rest of Sunday and nice upcoming week. Hopefully next weekend we're gonna have more people. But anyways, very nice to see Gary and Leon, and the 73 to all people that may be watching us. Have a nice week. Back to you, Gary. Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November.
Okay, Papa Radio 2, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November ZA6YI. Just want to say hello to Peter from Hanover, also watching us. Hello, Peter. DK3ZL, is that right? Let me see. ZF, DK3 Zulu Fox, and also to G8. I didn't get the first name. Let me just see, where is it now? Where the devil? It was a G8 station. But anyway, very good afternoon to you. I didn't quite get the name. G8RTD, RDT, G8 Radio Delta Tango, Mr. Williams. And for whatever reason, I see my shacks on your QRZ.com page. Yeah. Anyway, all good. Hello, Kevin. There we go. Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you on as well. And of course, Matthias. Let me just see who else is on. And happy Sunday to Ohan. You should be on frequency, Ohan. You slipping. We haven't seen you for a long time, but I do see you took your son to the dentist yesterday. Yeah, quite an experience, no doubt. But I hope it went all well. Yeah, these guys that cause interference or blame the amateur radio operator. I was at university and my dad gets a phone call from a chap quite a few blocks away. Your son's aerials are causing interference, or your son's causing interference. So my father says, impossible, he's in Pretoria, can't be causing interference. Oh no, it must be his antennas sucking in the television signal. And if this doesn't stop, he's going to get hold of the postmaster. So my dad said, do that with pleasure. It just shows your lack of knowledge in science. Now, my dad was a professor in the science world. So he just said, it just shows your patent lack of understanding on anything important. And just put down the phone. And the postmaster eventually did phone my father. And my dad said, well, tell me, how can the aerial suck in? And he laughed for half an hour. The postmaster guy says, not to worry, he's my neighbor. That's why I'm just doing this out of courtesy. And that was the end of that thing. Yeah, people with no knowledge. But this happens in life. I had another chap, a German guy, just up the road, complaining I'm causing QRM. So I said, come and visit me. Had my TV on. I said, right, now I'm going, look at my power output, running 2 kilowatts. Have a look. No interference. Now phone your wife. Phoned his wife. Oh no, the TV's rolling. So I said, right, let's go and have a look. Oh my goodness, there were spider webs and goodness knows what in his little preamp. And the coax, the braiding wasn't even on. So I got some new coax, which I had. And because he was a friend down the road, quickly did it properly, cleaned up his amp, and just installed a new piece of coax and got it done properly. And absolutely no noise. And then he thanked me because he must have had a snowy picture. And he said he's never seen a picture as good as what he had. So that worked out well. But at least he could understand, you didn't have to spoon feed the guy. He had enough knowledge. He was a tool maker, actually, very good one. So he had a science background. Anyway, these things happen. Makes it all interesting. But I must say, since we've gone over to digital TV and all that, a lot of that nonsense has dropped away, thank goodness. And soon, the last 10 years already, they've been threatening they're going to, in South Africa, go over to digital TV and do away with analog completely. It still hasn't happened. A friend of mine put up a whole manufacturing plant with beautiful soldering equipment and pick and place PC board stuff to produce these set-top boxes. And it just hasn't come, and he's lost millions. So, and every now and then it flares up again, they're going to do it, and nothing happens. But anyway, most people are watching a digital type service with set-top blocks, or, all via satellite. And I've even thrown that junk out, and if I want to watch something, I just do it on YouTube or Netflix or one of these things. So much better. Right, Leon, I think we'll close the net on this over, but I'll pass it through to you. And let's see, Kevin, I did say hi to. So back to you, ZS1 Mexico, Mexico, to take it from ZS6 Yankee India.
Okay, thanks, Gary. ZS6 Yankee India with the Papa Yellow 2 Romeo November. ZS1 Mike returning. Yes, unfortunate. I've never had any TVI or BCI complaints in the, I don't know how many years I've been on the air. So yeah, very fortunate as far as that's concerned. But I'm not, especially nowadays, I'm not active on HF at all. But when I was still doing lots of DX and stuff, nobody ever complained. Gary, okay, I'm going to switch off my receiver now because I know I'm on, and I'm just going to the recording part. Where is it? It was the 12th of January where this German guy came on. No, you must open it with VLC, not with that one, it's too small. Open with VLC.
Den Übertrager
His
ein
call sign is
normaler
Delta Lima 2
Bravo
Foxtrot Mike, and
230
his
12
name
Volt.
is Rudy. Delta Lima
Ohne
2
Probleme.
Foxtrot Mike. So if you ever
Wichtig
come
ist,
across
dass
this guy,
Glyphosat, Kondensator für die Feinabstimmung
this single valve receiver that he's got here with a 804 valve. Now it can't be just a 804 because the 804 is a big transmitting valve. He draws it as a tetrode. I'm guessing that it's a EF804, which is a pentode, and he just didn't bother to draw in the other grid, or maybe he's not using it. I don't know, but I'd like to get more detail about this project of his. It's this single valve receiver. Okay, yes, and my picture quality must be very, very bad at the moment because I'm virtually sitting in the dark here. Only the little LED in the camera came on when all the lights went out because of the load shedding. I've got a little bit of light through the window here on my right hand side, but not much because it's heavily overcast, and yeah, it's snow right around us. All the mountains around us are all white. So Gary, if the wind comes up now, you're going to know all about it, eh? I'm setting up some cool weather for you. Yeah, Ed, okay. As I say, those amplifiers, I've ordered them, and they're supposed to be on the 29th of August. So, but they're really nice. You just bolt them down on a little bit of heatsink, and it should do the job. Okay, Gary, I know you want to shut down the net. I don't have anything else. There was something else I wanted to mention to you, but it's completely slipped my mind now. It's not about the dog thing. We've done that. No, I don't know what it was. But anyway. Okay, let me just go back to the receiver so that I can see when you come back to me. Let's open the scan and tune again, lock onto myself, and then I know I'll get you. Or no, it's Ed first. And yeah, I like your cartoon, Ed. That's good. We always need more amplifiers. We always need more amplifiers. Just mute that. So yeah. The transmitter, by the way, I had some email from the guys at the Air Force Base for whom I designed the little transmitter, and they're happy. It's working fine. So at the moment it's running 75 milliwatts, and they reckon they're going to need to add another 30 dBs of attenuation to get it down to the level where they want it. But it's working, and they're very happy. So for a super long range one, I'll put in the 1 watt amplifier. Okie dokie. Papa Yellow 2 Romeo November ZS1 Mike is giving it back to you.
Okay, now I decoded myself very quickly. Great, Leon. Just yeah, nice. The yellow boards, yeah, they work very nice. Just be careful because it's easy to happen to invert input with the output. I think I mentioned that before, but never too much to remember. And yeah, just don't do that, because if you invert input with output and transmit even with the Pluto, the low power, it will kill the board. And obviously this is 5 volts. Those little boards, as not now, but at the beginning I always forget, and I used to put 12 volts and poof, bow bow. All right, guys, thank you very much. Nice to see you all, and have a great week. 73, back to Gary. Zulu Sierra 6, Yankee India. Zulu Sierra 1, Mike Mike. This is Papa Yankee 2, Radio November, saying 73. Until next time, bye-bye.
Okay, Ed, very good. Thanks for coming up. Thanks for coming up, Leon. It's been a very short net today. But despite that, we've been going for an hour virtually, with a few minutes. So whoever goes and watches the old YouTube channel can at least catch up. We've had 28 viewers so far, and most of them have stuck around. So I want to say goodbye to Kevin and to the Stuart and Stuart, and also to DJ3 Zulu Foxtrot, old Peter from Hanover in Germany, also to Matthias and Adam. I wish everyone a very happy week. It's going to be a cold week. This, as I said, they mentioned that we might have snow in this area. And Leon, geez, like you have to now send that cold air. That cold air that Leon's talking about can have a chill factor of minus 20 degrees Celsius. So you can be in an enclave and it can be 10, 15, 20 degrees Celsius, nice and warm, and you just move into this cold wind and it drops to minus 20. It's unbelievable. That's how people get very ill. Anyway, with that, I'll say 7-3 to all, and we'll see you next week. This is ZA6YI closing station. 7-3, guys.
Okay, cheers, Gary. And Oan, we're waiting for you. You must make a plan now, eh? Die verwery is nou nie meer 'n verskoning nie. Dis klaar. So ons soek jou hier op QO-100. Cheers. Bye bye, Gary. Bye bye, Ed. ZS1MM going QRT.